where visionaries, entrepreneurs, and artists dream, transform, and create. You are listening to the Miracle Moment podcast, where your breakthrough is a moment away. I'm your host, Rae Irelan. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Miracle Moment. Today, we have a beautiful soul sister here, Allie McFee, who is a woman's health coach, womb priestess, and pleasure-led expander who guides transformational workshops and retreats and certifies womb healers in the online Juicy Feminine Leadership Academy. So Allie is a soul sister of mine. We connected on Kauai. We actually originally just connected through the online space, and we were talking about sharing home spaces, and both her and I, being travelers and lovers of a nomadic lifestyle. This was 5 years ago or something. We had originally connected to have you stay in my home in San Diego while I was gone traveling. And then we got to reconnect on the beach in Kauai. And as we were talking, there were just all of these synchronicities that came up around some people that we were talking to, some different projects that we were actually in conversation with a few people, and didn't even know that, each other was the other person. And so since then, it's just been a beautiful journey of getting to know this woman. She is such an embodiment of her work. She is so heart-led in the way that she guides women. And I just feel absolutely honored to have you on this show and to share about, the way that you use womb wisdom and this heart-centered female leadership in business, because you're also crushing it. And I think there's a bit of this paradigm of, you're either in the super feminine space or you're either super masculine. And a lot of questions I've been getting recently have been around, how do I integrate the two? So we're going to be talking about that today. And Allie, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Rae, for having me. I love all the synchronicity that brought us together, and excited to share today.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, tell us where you're at and what you've been up to, because you're doing something pretty awesome right now.
Oh my goddess, where do I start? Okay, so I've been living in Kauai for the last couple years, and I led a retreat back in April. At the end of the retreat, there was a 3-day period that I kept waking up having these dreams that I was going to be traveling to the different vortexes and sacred sites around the world. And then finally, by the third morning, I surrendered and I said, okay, Spirit, if this is what you want of me, I will do this. And I've been to sacred sites before and have done priestess work, and there has been a long pause because of COVID. And I would definitely say I'm more of a homebody. I like to have a home. But in this vision, I saw that I would be becoming nomadic for a bit. So on July 1st, I put all my stuff in storage, and I've been so far to Italy. And I was just in France, in southern France, where the Cathars were. And I was on this whole Mary Magdalene pilgrimage, going to her cave that it said that she resided in until her death. But there's multiple places. I mean, I'm headed to Glastonbury next. I just got to England. They say there's some legends say that she stayed in Glastonbury to her death, and then to Wales. So I am just walking in her footsteps, going to these sacred sites, being in deep ritual, deep prayer. I've been meeting all of these other light workers, healers, priestesses on the road as well, and being in ceremony together. Some of them I actually know and used to live in the same towns with, but it was completely unplanned, divinely planned that they were there when I was there. So yeah, I've just been on a journey, and then I'm headed to the Glastonbury Goddess Conference at the end of this month, where I'm going to be speaking. And then the journey the journey will continue.
Oh, so amazing. I just love before we started recording this, you were just talking about the divine synchronicities. And, there's these moments in life where those synchronicities just get magnified. It's like all of a sudden, every single move you make, like even the breath you take, like becomes a synchronicity. And so I just wanted to bring that into the space too, to let our audience know, because I think when we're tuned into that, which you really are in this like full channel right now, this kind of powerful, potent, like vortex energy, that translates into this show. And the show is all about your miracle moment. And so not only is it about, and I want to find out, Allie, like for you, like what was your miracle moment in integrating your womb healing and this womb work with the business principles and the embodied abundance, like financial abundance, but also like allowing this recording, this podcast for any listeners, allowing this to be your portal into that energy as well. So just tuning into, opening your eyes, really opening your senses. And my invitation for any listener right now is to just notice, what are the synchronicities that are happening in your life right now? So let's dive in. So Allie, do you have a special moment that kind of pops up that connects you to like a miracle moment where things kind of started to click for you in terms of using your womb healing and womb priestess work and having that link in so beautifully with your business and financial abundance?
Wow. Honestly, there's been so many miracle moments along this journey. And I definitely feel on this journey since it began in 2015 is actually when a lot of this started to awaken within me. And there's been so many initiations along the journey, which have caused me to feel deep contraction at times, with a greater surrender into trust and letting my heart, letting the whispers of my womb guide me. And those have been the biggest miracles, really being able to listen and to let those inner whispers lead. And then, like you were saying, the signs, the synchronicities start to show up. And that's how I know that I'm on the right path. And I would say, though, just to tie all this back to the origination point, when the portal originally opened, it was actually through a lot of health challenges. I was on the birth control contraceptive for 5 years, taking it orally, and I was getting into raw food chefing. I was helping open a restaurant, and I decided to stop taking it. And I didn't have my period for 2 years. And then when it came back, I had it for 2 weeks every single month, which was exhausting. I had a lot of, I had a lot of brown staining, like brown blood, brown spotting before my red flow came. And then when my red flow came, it was very heavy and it was exhausting because I was opening a plant-based restaurant as head chef, and I was on my feet all day, managing long work hours. And I ended up resigning from that position to nurture my health. And I went through what is called a dark night of the soul at that time in my life. This was 2015. And I went to the OBGYN needing answers. And she said, you have high estrogen dominance, low progesterone, high cortisol, and you can either go back on the birth control contraceptive or you can take synthetic progesterone. And I was definitely in a phase of burnout in my life, physically, with my adrenals, and even emotionally. I was in a relationship at the time, a long-term relationship I was engaged in, and it was failing. We were starting to separate. And so everything just felt like all of the things in my life that felt, they were dreams of mine. They were my foundation, just started to collapse. And I just remember after that conversation with my OBGYN and my exhaustion, I really thought, like, okay, is this really it for me? Is this really it? And then there was a spark that hit, because I loved nutrition, and I wondered, is there a way to support my body and support my hormones and support my womb with nutrition? And so then that was when the portal opened, when I decided I'm not going to get back on birth control contraceptive. I'm going to see how I can work with food and holistically heal and uncover what's underneath all of this. And so that brought me down the rabbit hole. It started with nutrition for the 4 inner seasons of the menstrual cycle, learning how to see the menstrual cycle itself as a ceremony with 4 distinct phases that kind of be attuned to and worked with to maximize creativity and pleasure and fertility. And I kept going. I studied to be a red tent facilitator, started leading women's circles back in Indianapolis, Indiana, which sparked a movement there. There was definitely a lot of meditation going on, but there wasn't quite a public goddess culture.
Yes.
And now women were coming together on the new moon, and we were sharing deep stories. We're getting super vulnerable with each other. And I just kept going down the rabbit hole. It led me to emotional alchemy, to embodiment practices, to becoming a tantric practitioner. And the more and more I connected with my womb and really developed that relationship with my body, that is when the abundance of what I was offering in my business started to flourish. I believe that the feminine way of creation has a lot to do with our embodiment, body-based business. And rather than forcing myself to show up and grind, which is something that I learned from our culture. I mean, so many of us have learned that. Plus, I learned from my ancestry, which was, when they came to America, I have Polish ancestors. They literally had to work themselves to the bone in order to make it here. And just like learning all of these different things and choosing to work with my menstrual cycle, choosing to be with my emotions and feel and receive myself, that expanded my capacity to serve others. And so that is how I would say the abundance aspect of my business, prosperity, and just energetically in terms of vitality and attracting soulmate clients, that's when things started to flourish. And yeah, it's been quite the journey, but it's been a beautiful one because I've gotten to know myself and my purpose, like the legacy that I'm here to leave on such a more intimate level. And I'm really grateful. And that's what I gift others.
So beautiful. So I want to tune into a piece of that story, which I tend to get a lot of questions around this piece, and I'm curious on your perspective on it, which is the listening piece. So listening is so key, so crucial to really like all these steps of transformation. And there's this other side of it where I'm curious for you, I love how you said it, like a body-based business leader. At what point do you take action? At what point do you choose to move through something? I see a lot of women, especially that are really wanting to create these beautiful feminine-based businesses, getting stuck in the listening and almost start to use it as like a crutch, and it holds them back from taking action. So I'm curious on your perspective around that, like that sensitivity of course, like as a feminine leader, you want to be listening. And at what point do you say, okay, I'm going to pull the trigger. Okay, I'm going to make a new decision. I'm going to take that courageous step forward, even if I don't know where my foot's going to land. What is your perspective on all of this?
This is such a juicy question. Yeah. So I personally see my business as a medicine journey. I see that whatever offerings that I'm offering, whether it's a one-time masterclass, a workshop, or even my signature program, which it'll be the 7th year that I run it, no matter what I'm doing, I always see that there is expansion there that I'm going to be experiencing, that I'm literally being initiated to hold a greater space. And in that initiation process, there's always going to be stuff that comes up to the surface that are fears, that are past traumas. I look at business trauma a lot. The person I was in 2017, when I really started to go public with Modern Goddess Lifestyle, there were some patterns there of unworthiness and fear of putting a price and calling something, putting a price and creating value, like seeing what the value was and putting a price to it. There's terror I had around that at one point. And so it's interesting, whenever I am birthing something new, there will be these emotions, these feelings, these somatic memories that come to the surface, and I get to receive myself in that. And so my masculine essence is pretty, I would say I have a very deep relationship with my masculine essence, where if there's something on my schedule, or if there's something that I'm creating, or if there's a date that I've planned to do something, I do show up, and I'm persistent and consistent, and I receive myself in all the moments leading up to it, the watery, emotional, feeling aspect of my feminine that wants to alchemize and transmute and give birth to something I've never given birth before. That's a process. And these ideas, these creations, they gestate in my womb space. And so my commitment is to my process, and my commitment is to showing up in what I said that I would do. And so that's the template that I work with. And that's kind of an overview, but there's so many different ways I do that in terms of rituals and womb clearing practices and somatic movement and ways to nourish myself in the kitchen and my hormones. There's a plethora of different tools in the toolbox to support that process. But ultimately, I see it as a medicine journey, that these things are coming up for a reason, and there's something to learn, and it's for the creation process. The contraction is part of the expansion that's coming, and ultimately it's so I can serve at a greater capacity. So I can prepare to hold others in whatever it is that I am guiding them through.
Oh, so beautiful. I think everything that you just shared is such a great example of what it looks like to be an integrated, feminine-based leader in business. And I love the analogy. I use that with my clients often, is like, yeah, this is your medicine journey, like lean into it. And in medicine journeys, there's these feelings of like waves that you just know that you have to take that step. And so it's once that self-doubt starts creeping in, or that hesitancy, that's a good time to kind of look and see what's happening. I also just love how you talk about your integrity. Like, I have witnessed that, and I want to share this with our audience, with Allie and I being girlfriends, like we're friends, we're soul sisters. And a reason why we've been able to create such a beautiful relationship is because of that integrity, that we both show up when we say we're going to. If we have a call, we're going to call each other. And that creates just such a sense of safety and trust in any relationship dynamic. And so as a feminine-based leader, if we're looking at that in business, what do you think that would create with your clients or potential clients? It finally gives them that space for them to actually lean more into their feminine, because they feel that trust and safety with you. So if you want to step into a new power and a new edge of your feminine leadership, actually really integrating that masculine to be able to hold that space for others is just such a key power move that we have control over. We have the choice over as women to say, okay, I'm going to call upon my inner masculine. I'm going to call upon the healthy, integrated masculine into my business, into my life. So everything you just shared, such a beautiful example of that. So tell us where our listeners can come find you. Where can they hang out with you online?
I'm mostly on Instagram these days, Modern Goddess Lifestyle. I'm also on Facebook. I have a community, a free community group there as well. That's super fun. Oftentimes I'll host events in there for free. And moderngoddesslifestyle.com.
Perfect. And any last things that you want to share with our listeners before we jump off here?
Yeah. For anyone who is listening to this and is inspired by hearing about the embodiment practices, the rituals that I was just speaking to, I really want to share a reframe around the menstrual cycle that I believe would be supportive. And that is, when you're about to bleed, I see this as a powerful time of transmutation. PMS stands for please make space.
Love that.
Yeah. So as an entrepreneur, you are the one creating your schedule. So learn how to track your menstrual cycle if you don't know how yet, and create the space on your calendar for when you're about to bleed. And then let yourself go into the emotion. Let yourself get witchy, wild, shake it out, dance it out, express it, cry, journal, go into nature, whatever it is. Don't deny yourself of the power of that time of your cycle, because society has told us that it's a curse and that women are crazy. And when we're in business, oftentimes we'll try to push on through, grind on through, and, have aids like, extra caffeine or things to get our energy back up. But really, this is your transmutation time. It's your recycling, your composting time. And if you let yourself feel whatever is present, not be attached to it as it, being right or wrong, but just simply be. The feminine way is being, letting yourself be with it. This is going to unlock so much creative magic in the upcoming months, because you will have met yourself there. You will have unlocked that power. It will lessen your menstrual cramps, or if you get any kind of PMS symptoms, it'll actually cause that those loud symptoms to lessen as you have somatically moved it and expressed it in your being. And ultimately, this creates the space for new birthing energy for the month ahead, so that you can have these downloads come through when you're in your bleed, and you can have those creative epiphanies. And then when you regain energy, you'll know where to place it. And I love working with the menstrual cycle as a template. Again, it's so important that we don't reject ourselves and really receive ourselves and feel it all, because that's truly what it means to be creating from our womb space, whether we want to make a baby or we're a fempreneur who wants to create and be embodied.
Or both.
Or both. That's what you're doing.
Or all of it. Yes. Oh, so good. Well, thank you so much, Allie. Thank you for all the listeners joining us today. And I know there were so many pieces, so many nuggets to get out of here, but after listening, see if there's one thing that you want to take into action, like bring in that masculine, and also listen to your feminine. What does she want? So maybe actually let's play with two things as kind of the inspired action from this podcast. What is one thing that your internal divine feminine wants from you today? What is one thing that your beautiful integrated masculine want from you today? And play with that. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you soon. Bye. Thanks for checking out this video. Subscribe and ring the bell if you haven't yet, so you can stay up to date for new episodes coming out soon. And remember to witness and acknowledge the miracles and magic in every moment. This is Rae Irelan, and I'll see you soon.